What's up, everyone? All right, well, today's one of those days where it felt like nothing went the right way from the very beginning. I drove halfway to work only to get a call that, hey, internet's out at work, so I had to double back, head home, and then set up at home on my old laptop, which I don't use for trading. I've got this nice new one that I've been using for trading. It's got, my hotkeys, all my layout on it. So jumped on the old one. I've used it for trading before. It has this software installed, but it's not what I'm used to at this point. Only had one external monitor, and these are the types of days that it's so important to have that presence of mind that you're not in the right space. You've had a couple bumps on the road before the bell rings. You got to step back and take it easy. The bell rings, I take a first trade down 1,000, second trade up 1,200, so now I'm up 200 on the day. Third trade puts me up 1,500 on the day. Fourth trade, down $5,000. Just, jumped into something really quickly without doing my full due diligence checklist, and boom, biggest loss of the month. So I'm gonna finish the day down $5,000. I tried to make back a little bit when I was down 3,500, and I just went further into the red. And so that's when I finally said, that's it. Max loss is $5,000. I'm down $5,100. I'm throwing in the towel. I will live to trade another day. I don't want to give back any more today when the market is clearly not, it's just not on my side. I'm just not feeling it. So I'll be back at it tomorrow. Try to finish off the week Friday with a green day, even if it's only $500. Green is good. And then next week, recharge, refreshed, Monday morning, hope for some good follow through. All right, so that's it for me. Enjoy the recap. As always, questions, comments, leave them below. All right, everyone, so we're going to go over the trades from today. Today is the first red day after a really nice hot streak. You can see here, it's a good size red day, $5,000 max loss. So my max loss on my account right now is $5,000. So because I'm below 5,000, if I wanted to take a trade on CTRM, for instance, I could put an order down here at this level, and I'm pressing the buy button, and it's just going to keep getting rejected. It's not going to let me take the trade. The only trades I can take are closing orders to close positions. And that's an important thing. It's important to have a line in the sand somewhere, wherever it is. But EDSA, this one has been phenomenally frustrating today. You can see I'm red on it. False breakout after false breakout, just very difficult. If it ends up ripping here, I'm going to be feeling frustration and FOMO on it. CTRM, also a frustrating one. Some serious false breakouts. Look at this stuff. And then OPGN, just really disappointing. So let's start at the top here with the watch list for this morning. I was actually up, I started the day with a red trade. I was down 1,000, and then I made that back and was up about 1,500. And then I had a kind of impulsive trade on OPGN, and I lost $5,000 on it. That put me down 3,500, and then I tried to dig myself out of the hole and lost another 1,500. And now I'm throwing in the towel before it gets worse. So CTRM was our leading gapper this morning. This was up 35% pre-market. Unfortunately, I also kind of started the day just with everything not quite lining up. Internet at the office was down. I drove halfway to the office, then turned around because I got a message that the internet was offline. So came back up to the house. I didn't have my traveling trading station with me, so I'm trading on one of my older computers today, which is not ideal. I only have one external monitor. My internet even here is fiber, but feels like it is going slow today, and I'm not sure why. My fiber usually is well over 100 megabits up and down, but right now is only at 15. Which is weird. I don't know what's going on. So there were some storms that went through overnight, and I don't know, I might have to reset things. But by the time I was realizing all that, it was like 9:28, and it was getting really close to the bell. So the first trade on CTRM, which would have been a breakout over 440, I missed because my internet was all lagged, and I couldn't take the trade because by the time my quotes caught up. It had already happened. But I did buy the first pullback right here. And so on this first pullback, I made about $1,500 on CTRM. And then I added on this pullback right here and made another $1,000. So I was up about $2,500 on CTRM. And I've given back $2,000 of that profit, unfortunately. So that was my first trade on CTRM, but I did take a trade on EDSA in the first minute. And in the first minute, I jumped in it as it was surging up for the break of 5. Now, 509 was the pivot we were looking at pre-market because that was the high of this level right here at 855. So I jumped in anticipating that breakout, and it flushed right down. This thing dropped all the way to 431. So I lost $1,000 on it. Actually, it was closer to 1,200. As it curled up here, I got back in, and then I quickly sold, and I ended up making back $300 or $700, but I made back and then I gave back because then it dropped here from a high of 524 back down to 463, and then it rips back up to 510, and now I'm just getting frustrated looking at it, faking us out. Now here it's back to high of 513. So this one was tricky. Not a predictable break of the pre-market pivot that I was expecting. Got stopped out, lost 1,000, made a little bit back, but at this point, before the OPGN trade, but after CTRM and EDSA, I was up about maybe $1,700. So hey, $1,700 is certainly not bad, especially compared to where I'm sitting at this very moment. But at the same time, I think I was, I've been having great green days. $65,000 in the last 12 days or so. So I was trying to be a little more aggressive. And that's when OPGN hits the scanner right here. I pulled up the chart. As I'm pulling up the chart, I'm typing in the level 2. I'm looking at the chart and I go ahead and press shift 1. It's moving quickly. It's a bounce off of yesterday's lows. And the last time we had a good bounce off the lows, it actually made a pretty nice move. I can't remember which stock it was now. It was like a week ago. So I went ahead and pressed shift 1 and jumped in. And, next thing I know, I'm in this thing with 10,000 shares. And then I look at the spread. Now, it's usually not a good idea to look at the spread after you take the trade. And this is a good example of getting a little complacent. When you've had a really nice hot streak, sometimes you can get a little sloppy because, everything you're trading is kind of working and you get spoiled and, you fall into some bad habits. You get a little sloppy. So I jump in and then I look at the spread and I'm already down $2,500 between the spread. It's a 25-cent spread and I've got 10,000 shares. And then the spread opens up to a 40-cent spread and I'm down $4,000. I hit the bid, I get another 10 cents of slippage, and just like that, I'm down $4,947. Boom. From up $1,500 to down $3,500. That is disappointing. That is the last thing that I wanted to have happen. So, I think at this point, at that point, I was just sort of like, all right, well, that was nasty. That was very disappointing. But let's just shake it off. I'm not below my max loss, so I'll just give this a chance. And we'll see what happens. And so then I'm watching CTRM, and it's consolidating through this area here. It's now broken down, and I see it curling up right here, and I take this trade. I'm thinking, all right, it looks like it's going to break over 440. That's a pivot, and then it might make a move up to 450. So I jump in here. That ends up being a false breakout. Fails. So then I lose like $1,500 on that trade. I go from up 2,500 or whatever. Maybe it wasn't. I think I lost 1,000 on that trade. So then I'm down 4,400 on the day, or 4,300. And then I took one more trade right through here. It was on this candle right here. I bought this candle thinking that at this time, we were still holding the 9. We were below the VWAP. And sometimes these sort of pinch at this spot. We get the apex point and we break up. In this case, we broke down, right? And they're going to break one way or the other. But this case, it broke down. And so there I lost another $700 or whatever it is. So that, is kind of disappointing. Gave back some profit. Here's the typical EDSA today. Hits a high. It makes a new high by 1 penny. And then it drops 40 cents. So this is the condition of the market today. Now, just like almost anything else in life, as a small business owner, if you're a fisherman, these are the conditions of the ocean today. I'm just not catching fish. I'm wasting a lot of bait. I'm down 5,000 on fuel, on bait, on paying my guys to be out here all day long when there's no fish, when there's nothing happening. Sometimes that's part of the deal. Being a small business owner and being a day trader, you have to really consider it like this is your business. It helps you take it more seriously. But it also helps me compartmentalize the bad days, because there are going to be days like today where, doing all of pretty much the right things doesn't work. Or maybe I get a little sloppy on a trade like OPGN because I've been on a really good hot streak and I give back a little bit of profit on an unnecessary loss. And now I have sort of this moment where I have to make decisions tomorrow about how I'm going to trade. Tomorrow, am I going to revenge trade? Or am I going to trade for hey, you know what? I could switch over to my IRA account right now. And you know what? I don't know if I could keep trading. I think this max loss goes across both accounts. Let's just double check, just for the heck of it. No, it doesn't. So I could go ahead and trade and lose another $5,000 in my IRA account. Okay, but I'm not going to do that, right? That would not be a good decision. I'm going to read the writing on the wall. I'm going to take my stops here, and rather than risk more money and take this, $185,000 I've been building over the last year, basically, 9 months. I'm just going to say today I'm not feeling it. I'm going to step back. I'm going to throw in the towel, and I will live to trade another day. Now tomorrow, I don't want a revenge trade. I just want to try to finish the week with a green trade. I'm up. I went from being up about 9,000 on the month now to up only about 3,500, $4,000. So this is a decent setback. It's not a great time in the month for a setback. I was talking just yesterday about how now I'm in the driver's seat and I can afford to take a little risk. Well, I took a little risk a little too soon, and now I'm not really in the driver's seat in the same way I was yesterday. Now tomorrow, if I see something that's going to require me to take a little risk, I'm going to have to think twice about it, because I cannot have another $5,000 red day. I do not want to go red on the month. I want this first week of the month to be a week of profit. But today I have given back most of what I made yesterday, the 6,600. I'm still net positive, but I have given back most of it. So I've got to be really careful as I finish up the week and going into next week. If today is, a sign of, a little bit of a change or an ebb in the momentum, then I've got to respond to that by slowing down. I can't just keep going like super headstrong into a difficult period in the market, because if I do that, I'm just going to lose money like today, back to back. I may have to be content with $500 or $1,000 days, and I can do that. That's fine, but I need to accept that that's where I'm at. And that may not be the case. Hey, tomorrow we may end up seeing a stock squeeze up 400%, and I'll trade it and make 10 grand, and it's not a revenge trade. It's just a genuinely strong stock. But if we see things start to shift or start to slow down, I've got to respond to that really quickly. So for those of you guys who have been, hanging with us here for the last 10, 12 trading days and watching this hot streak, you've seen how quickly, in a matter of 10 days, how quickly you can build an account. Now, I haven't been really in an small account mode here. I've just been building my large account. But $65,000 is pretty darn impressive for 12 days of trading. So, of course, a $5,000 red day here may mark the high of this hot streak. Like any other hot streak I've had, it's up, sometimes a little down, up, and then, at a certain point, it gets it gets capped. And so now the question is, am I going to have multiple stair steps down, or next few days, am I just going to go sideways and then get another loss? Because that's going to really mark that yesterday was the high. Or tomorrow, I might have a bounce back day with really great stocks on the scanner. Or I may have, a couple of decent days of $1,500, $2,000, where by next Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm back to up 10, 11,000 on the month and making my way, right back towards the goal. So I'm just going to trade the market I'm in. And, yesterday we had some great opportunities. Today, CTRM, I don't know. I mean, maybe I shouldn't have overstayed my welcome on it. Obviously, I gave back profit. At the same time, I've seen this exact same setup go the other way. I suppose today maybe the indicators that it was going to go this way was the fact that EDSA was pretty bad, the fact that this did fail so hard earlier in the day. You could almost look at this as a bear flag off this drop. I mean, I was looking at it more as a bull flag off of this level, but you could sort of look at it both ways. So definitely, this might not have been, there may have been some signs through this consolidation that this one probably wasn't going to break out today. Not just because of the pattern, but because of what else was happening in the market. So maybe I was a little bit more stubborn than I should have been. But again, this is part of the deal with being a trader. And, the good news is I'll live to trade another day. Survive till you thrive. One day, you never want it to empower you. You never want to empower one day to potentially blow up your account. And that's why on days like this, I have a max loss. So even though for some of you guys losing $5,000 in one day might be devastating, for me it's just that's my daily max loss. So max losses happen, and I am okay with that. Now, if I get to a point where I increase my daily max loss to 7,500 or 10,000, which maybe 2 years from now will be the case, right now that feels like an awfully big loss. $7,500, $10,000. That feels pretty brutal. But I may get to a point a couple years down the road where that'll be totally within my risk allowance, and it'll be not a big deal at all. And yeah, worth noting, perhaps, days when the market is up big, I often don't do as well, and so that could be a little bit of a factor there as well. But I don't know. We'll see. So that's it for me. I'll be back at it first thing tomorrow morning. I hope you guys have a great afternoon, and study up on the recaps and everything else from the last couple of weeks, because when things are picking up and when they're hot, you really want to try to capitalize on those opportunities, because when things slow down and they get cold, you don't want to be trying to force trades. You really want to be able to step back and slow down. All right. See you guys first thing tomorrow morning.
If you're still watching, you must have really enjoyed that video. So why not subscribe and get email alerts anytime I upload new content? Remember, when you subscribe, you become a member of the Warrior Trading family.